Ladies and gentlemen, there's never a dull moment in artificial intelligence, and especially in Nvidia. As we just saw the company raise by nearly 4% in a single day, it actually did at one point today, actually breaking its new 52-week high and all-time high intraday. But that also led to a $200 billion increase in the market cap of Nvidia. So, what could possibly cause this deal? Let's talk about that in the rest of the AI market in this quick presentation. Nvidia's growth isn't slowing down. Okay. As we know from the latest earnings call for Nvidia, AI is growing at a 50% compounded annual growth rate, according to Jensen Huang, which you can see here that the analyst is actually highlighting this in this message here, not only in the United States, but also in China, the two largest markets. And Jensen Huang says the reason why they believe that is they have incredible forecasts from their largest customers, a very, very significant forecast, not to mention all of the AI startups for which they are seeing a huge forecast there, and the year isn't even over yet. So they believe that things are going very well. This also backs up the fact that not only Jensen, but also Dell has put out a projection that artificial intelligence capital expenditure spend for data centers and AI factories is going to reach roughly $1 trillion in annual spend. Okay. Unbelievable. Now, NVIDIA wants to make sure that they continue to either gain market share or hold on to their current market share in AI spend, making sure that revenue stays above 50% in data center spend. Now, they're going to hope to do this by continuously advancing their product line. So currently, we're on the Blackwell architecture. This is coming after the Hopper architecture. Then after this would be the Vera Rubin and then Vera Feynman. Okay. So as the years go on, they're going to continuously push out new products that multiply the amount of token generation that these large hyperscale cloud providers can actually continue to put out, which means that boosts up their revenue, which means that they have to upgrade their products and make more AI factories. So this is the sort of hope from NVIDIA investors. Now, we also just saw an interview from someone that's also very much in the industry, Lisa Su, the CEO of AMD, that had a very bullish thing to say about how long this AI build out will be. Listen to this.
Like, I've spent a lot of time in the technology business. I would say that we're probably on a massive 10-year cycle in terms of AI technology and AI build out, and we're probably 2 years into it. So we're still in the very early innings.
2 years into a 10-year build out, meaning 8 years to go. OpenAI is also a very big believer in this, building out some of the biggest data centers that the world has ever seen. Now they're looking for an additional 4.5 gigawatts of capacity with Oracle as a part of Stargate. We saw that a little bit ago. Now we just saw massive deals with Oracle, CoreWeave, GCP, all of the other large hyperscale companies that Sam Altman continuously taps OpenAI for, or taps those companies to boost OpenAI. But listen to this. The deal that came out today, OpenAI and NVIDIA announced a strategic partnership to deploy 10 gigawatts of NVIDIA systems. Okay. So NVIDIA is also going to invest up to $100 billion in OpenAI, meaning this is a strategic investment, while also giving them up to deploy at least 10 gigawatts of AI data centers with NVIDIA systems, starting with Vera Rubin in the second half of 2026. Meaning for every gigawatt that they deploy, they're going to invest $10 billion into OpenAI. Now, to deploy a gigawatt is a lot more than $10 billion. So some people said, oh, well, this is just OpenAI having a way that they don't have any cash, so now they're just making NVIDIA pay for their own systems. I mean, equity is a pretty good way to pay for those types of things, but about a gigawatt of data centers is about $250 billion worth of spend. So this is a small price to pay for NVIDIA to not only get equity in some of the biggest, fastest growing companies in the entire world, OpenAI currently being valued somewhere around $350 billion, okay? And they are, at what, 700 million monthly active users. So they're one of the fastest growing companies, new startups that we've ever seen in history, probably going to be the fastest company to ever reach $1 trillion in valuation. And NVIDIA is going to have a good equity share in that. But 10 gigawatts, I mean, this is incredible. This is just one name Okay. This does not include Oracle, for which OpenAI signed a $300 billion cloud deal with them, $60 billion a year, boosting up their remaining performance obligations, which was already growing at insane rates, 60 billion up to 137 billion over the last few years. Then going from 137 billion to 455 billion dollars. Also furthered by an additional $20 billion of AI compute from Meta. Okay. Now, OpenAI, I think what Sam Altman's plan here is to get insane deals on the total amount of compute by just putting in the largest orders that he could possibly ask for. So I think they all know that they're headed in that direction. So why not, or why do this in $20 billion chunks? Why not buy 300 billion from Oracle, 10 gigawatts? I mean, that's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars from Nvidia directly in one large chunk. You're probably going to get a good deal on that. Meta is not just doing deals with Oracle, though. They're also setting up potentially the largest data centers we've ever seen. Prometheus coming online in 2026. Hyperion, which is going to be a 5 gigawatt data center, which is, projected to be the largest data center in history. However, OpenAI might clear that now because of today's news. Everyone is pushing. They're almost in a prisoner's dilemma where if OpenAI says they have to spend more, well, then Meta has to spend more. And then, AWS and Google and all of these companies to stay in the running all have to spend a ton to make sure that they are in the runnings for whatever happens with super intelligence or artificial intelligence that is, going to be smarter than any human, work faster, work harder, and at cheaper costs. But it spends a lot to get there.
I mean, didn't you just tell Trump you were going to spend like 600 billion? I mean,
I did, yeah, through 2028, which is
that's a lot of money.
It is, and if we end up misspending a couple of $100 billion, I think that is going to be very unfortunate, obviously. But what I'd say is I actually think the risk is higher on the other side. If you build too slowly, and then super intelligence is possible in 3 years, but you built it out assuming it would be there in 5 years, then you're just out of position on what I think is going to be the most important technology that enables the most new products and innovation and value creation in history. So
I think that's enough there, but still, it's absolutely incredible. And XAI is another part of this OpenAI. It's not just public companies, it's also the private ones as well, which is hard to see the CapEx spend of those private companies. But you could see it from these orders and some of the commentary. XAI is now wanting a goal of 50 million units of H100 equivalent AI compute, which means they're not going to buy 50 million units because the Blackwell is going to be more efficient. And then even on top of that, you have things like Vera Rubin and Vera Feynman that are coming. So you're not going to need 50 million units. But, you can see here, Colossus 1 is buying 30,000 of GB200s, and then Colossus 2 is buying 550,000 of the GB200s and the Blackwell Ultras, the GB300s. Okay. So they continuously purchase the upgraded version of NVIDIA's chips. And because there's not another chip that is at that level of performance per watt, then you're going to have to continuously buy NVIDIA over any other manufacturer, or chip designer. NVIDIA and Microsoft, once again, deploying hundreds of thousands of NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs on the GB200 NVL, rack scale systems. This is all what's happening across the board, and there's one company that they want to deal with, NVIDIA, because of that performance per watt. Microsoft's own president came out and said that, hey, we are going to continue to make these level of investments. This is a gigawatt data center that's coming out in the background, and then another one that's going to go right beside it. 2 twin data centers just to level up their amount of compute to handle all this demand. Now, just from the public companies, the top 5 names, by the way, I'm not including Nebius or CoreWeave or any of the other smaller cloud names, but just the 5 names, Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, and Oracle. The data center or the CapEx spend is insane. For the most part, other than just Amazon, all of this spend is on data centers. It's hard to siphon out for Amazon which is data center and which is, warehouse spend because they have other businesses at Amazon. But still, we're nearly at $100 billion a quarter. A quarter. This is before, we see all the massive investments that OpenAI has just made with NVIDIA directly. So, and it's not just that we're just seeing, growth on top of growth, this growth is actually accelerating. So for example, if you take Meta, they were growing their capital expenditures by maybe 29%, or sorry, 5%, 33, 27. Now it's at 90, 102, 102.3%. They're accelerating the speed at which they're growing their capital expenditures. And this is across the board. But don't just take my word for it. All these amazing charts that I was able to throw together in the matter of seconds all came from Fiscal AI. Fiscal AI is your one-stop investment research platform that will allow you to look into companies like Nvidia, for example, get great overviews on the companies, look at all their financials, build charts in seconds. We can end up taking this, lowering these years, or switching this to quarterly, for example, to see how they've grown and their year-over-year growth rates on all of this. The best part is not only do they have all their ratios, so then you can look at how, expensive the company is, forward valuations that are derived from real analyst reports that you can go through and read those reports and their estimates on the companies, both quarterly or annually, on revenue, EPS, price targets, research from Morningstar, all the investor relations where you can actually
Good morning, everyone.
the calls live. Okay. You can end up seeing through all of these reports, the slides, the actual reports, everything. We can make this larger so then you can actually just go through the original press release that Nvidia ended up putting out, all the news on the company, the ownerships of those businesses. You can model out what you think growth on this company will look like. Maybe we actually end up seeing 60% revenue change here and then potentially 60% here. I mean, I'm not putting actual estimates in here, but you could see how this could end up benefiting your research by trying to model out real growth, the real take rates, everything on the businesses that you actually want to invest in. But trust me, whenever I say I showed you guys 5% of what the platform actually has to offer and what I use it for. So if you guys want, I've partnered with Fiscal AI to give you guys an exclusive 15% off on all paid plans automatically whenever you use Fiscal AI/future. That's Fiscal AI/future, or you can check out the description where you can find that link. But let's go back. First up, US AI race is supported by regulators. One of the big tenets of investing that I have is that companies are supported by their regulators and lawmakers. Okay. One of the things you don't want to be is like the solar companies during the Trump administration. If you do not have support and you're taking away some incentives, that hurts companies very, very badly. You want things like what Trump has put out, where he's actually fast tracking permits for AI data centers. This increases the speed at which companies can innovate and end up investing in Nvidia's products. This goes to further how fast Nvidia can end up growing. And that's completely in the Trump administration supporting Jensen Huang. He is very, very well liked in the Trump administration, so that's great. On top of that, we also have Nvidia's own innovation furthering their need for companies to invest further with their business, like Spectrum XGS Ethernet to connect distributed data centers into giga-scale AI superfactories. I messed up my reading of that, but essentially it allows companies to not just invest in tens of thousands or maybe 100,000 new GPUs, but potentially millions at a time because they're going to work as one larger unit. Jensen Huang has essentially increased the order size by putting out these types of networking products. On top of that, we have the new Vera Rubin NVL 144s coming out, which is only going to accelerate the output of these companies, furthering the need for more investment by large hyperscale cloud providers. And not just the big, $100 billion deal that we just saw for OpenAI, but a $5 billion deal into Intel to help further new products in the AI race, while also making an equity investment in the same company that is an AI foundry in the United States, supported by, Masayoshi Son. The Trump administration itself made a large stake in Intel, and now Nvidia. That's prime for success, and Nvidia is going to get their money back on this deal, whether it's through the stock or through the products that they are going to get great deals on. This is unbelievable work from Jensen Huang and the team, and you can see how they can continuously break through and beat expectations quarter in, quarter out, always, outperforming people's expectations. I think that this is going to continue, and I'm so excited to see what Nvidia has in store. This is why I continue to hold 50% of my portfolio in Nvidia, and I cannot wait to see this company break through $200 per share by end of year. If you guys like this sort of NVIDIA content, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. But thank you all so much for watching to the end. Appreciate your time, and bye for now.